D.C. hospital just made a tragic announcement about Congressman Steve Scalise. Just over 24 hours after a lone liberal gunman opened fire on a baseball practice for members of Congress yesterday, more bad news from this horrific event is emerging. The President and First Lady have just rushed to a D.C. hospital after terrible events have unfolded since the start of what appears to be an open season declared on conservatives by terroristic lefties who have lost their minds. The 66-year-old Bernie Sanders supporter who shot up the baseball practice in Alexandria, Virginia, sending Lousiana Republican Congressman Steve Scalise to the hospital in critical condition, was said to have hopes of getting to President Donald Trump through his GOP members of Congress. James T. Hodgkinson was shot by Capitol Police and later died from those injuries. While one leftist lunatic, driven to a mission of deadly destruction by his own party, has been eliminated, there are more who are sure to follow in his footsteps of liberal martyrdom. While the left celebrates this shooting as a victory, despite using every other shooting in America to blame conservatives and demand more gun control, Scalise, who was shot in the hip by Hodgkinson, is still fighting for his life. It was recently announced that Scalise has had to undergo a third surgery for his critical wound and his ultimate prognosis is uncertain at this point. However, now we're getting word that Donald and Melania rushed to the hospital unexpectedly last night, for reasons which were not publicized until this morning. The Hill reports. Scalise was one of 5 people wounded Wednesday morning when the shooter opened fire at a congressional baseball practice in Alexandria, Virginia, one day before the annual congressional baseball game for charity. He underwent surgery on Wednesday, but required additional procedures to mend significant internal injuries, including a broken hip and damage to internal organs. President Trump on Wednesday night visited Scalise and his family at MedStar Washington Hospital Center in Washington, D.C. Vice President Pence followed with a visit Thursday morning. After their private and emotional visit with House Majority Whip Scalise and his family, in which they came bearing 2 large bouquets of flowers, the president said that the congressman was in some trouble, and offered an encouraging thought saying he's a great fighter and he's going to be okay, we hope. He entered the room, spoke with Scalise's family and sat by his bedside with Mrs. Trump, White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer publicly announced after the visit, which only accentuated Trump's status update on Twitter. Just left hospital. Representative Steve Scalise, one of the truly great people, is in very tough shape, but he is a real fighter. Pray for Steve. The hospital is extremely familiar territory to these two who frequent these often uncomfortable facilities to meet with ill and injured. It's incredible that the first couple dropped everything to pay this congressman a visit last night rather than just passively sending flowers with a pre-printed note. Each person who works for and with them is clearly important to them and can be seen and felt in the sincere attention they give those who need it most. It's for this reason, along with completely twisting facts, that makes what CNN did especially sickening hours after the Trumps left the hospital.